It's midday in Dakar, 1 p.m. in Porto Novo. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world. We are live on wadr.org. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. Political groups divided in Guinea over extension of military transition period to 2025 despite a constitutional referendum in sight. And in Senegal, Bassirou Diomaye Faye call to rationalize the existence of political parties sparked reaction from political actors and civil society ecosystems.
If today the President of the Republic tells us that we are moving towards the rationalization of political parties, we must acknowledge it.
And President Alassane Ouattara of Côte d'Ivoire pardons 2,000 prisoners as part of his New Year decisions. And Ghana's President-elect President Mahama vows to address shortcomings of the current government, including corruption.
We will work tirelessly to correct the outgoing administration's many wrongs, tackle corruption with dogged determination, and reduce excessive government expenditures.
Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
Many thanks for joining us. Newslink begins in Guinea because reactions have continued to pour in following the national address by the transitional president General Mamadi Doumbouya as he announced the extension of the transition period, which was supposed to end by December 31, 2024. The transition period will now continue until 2025. This shift in the electoral calendar has divided the Guinean political class, while the opposition maintains its protest and declared it no longer recognizes the military in power. Supporters of the junta welcome the extension of the transition. Meanwhile, General Doumbouya has promised a constitutional referendum and general elections in 2025. On the other hand, supporters of the military believe that the extension of the transition is more necessary than ever, while opposition plan to hold a demonstration starting January 6 in Conakry to demand the departure of the junta and the establishment of a civilian transition. Back here in Senegal, President Bassirou Diomaye Faye's end-of-year speech has received wide acknowledgement from the population and many government promises and policies in the coming days. Among them is improving the cost of living, addressing the health and education deficit, as well as ensure energy transition. On the political front, the head of the state is advocating for the rationalization of political parties as the country has nearly 400, which he believes hinders democratic progress. He called for further discussions with all political actors on this issue, with civil society organizations and political parties supporting the initiative and already presenting their demand. Augustin Colley has more in this following report.
According to Babaka Justin Bengue, president of the Forum of Justice Siebo, a civil society organization, rationalizing political parties will facilitate future elections in the country.
If today the President of the Republic tells us that we are moving towards the rationalization of political parties, we must acknowledge it. Currently, we have an excessive number of political parties. As seen in the last legislative elections, 41% of the lists were rejected. In Senegal, we have over 400 political parties, many of which exist only in name and do not even have a headquarters. This situation hinders democratic progress. Therefore, rationalizing political parties will provide much clearer visibility regarding the democratic process.
Guillaume Sabob, the political movement of opposition leader Bougan Gaye Diagne, agrees. The group also believes that the issue of political party financing should be included in the discussions. Babaka Justin Njai is the communications officer.
The formation of a political party must meet several criteria to be recognized as such, as an entity seeking to gain power. Beyond rationalization, the President of the Republic has emphasized transparency. Today, we need to know who finances political parties and how they manage their operations. Are these political parties simply trying to position themselves within the political system? Therefore, the president must follow through, starting with his own party. We've heard about Kapor Express. Where did this money come from? Who financed them? Thus, in addition to rationalizing political parties, there must be a strong emphasis on transparency.
The date for these discussions between President Bassirou Diomaye Faye and political actors has not yet been set. It will take place in the coming days, according to the head of state, who called for unity and fraternity in his speech.
And that was Mustafa Jakite's report and voiced by Augustine Colley. In the Gambia, President Adama Barrow has instructed the Minister of Agriculture and Finance to address the digital payment of farmers as the trade season kicked off on Monday. This comes as farmers raise concerns about the delayed payment using the digital system. WADL Sankuli Janko has more in this report.
In the wake of the worrying concerns from Gambian farmers over the deployment of digital payment platforms for the current groundnut trade season, President Adama Barrow has instructed the Minister of Agriculture and Finance to convene a meeting with farmers' representatives and stakeholders to immediately address the situation. During a meeting at the Agriculture Ministry's office in Banjul, the Vice President of the Gambia Farmers Association, Alhaji Cisse, blamed the inadequate sensitization on the new Q-Money digital payment platform among farmers. He argued insufficient payout agents across the country and limited availability of cash at the trading centers as major problems. Responding to the farmers' queries during the meeting, the Agriculture Minister Dr. Demba Sabali told Q Group that the digital platform is to increase payment services across the 95 payment stations nationwide. The Agriculture Minister also asked for similar services for the 39 districts in the country to ease monetary transactions for farmers. Mohamed Jah, Chairman and CEO of Q Group, promised to intensify the Q Money sensitization campaign across the country, deploy more agents and synchronize cash payments to the payment centers. The 2024 groundnut trade season began in earnest on Monday, 2nd December 2024, and is scheduled to end on 2nd March 2025 across the country. The adoption of the new payment system is promised on the Gambia government's overall national digital transformation strategy and the resolve to prevent leakages in the transaction value chain. This is particularly true considering that the Gambia government lost over $100 million or its equivalent of $1.4 million in the previous trade season due to missing cash. The Q-Money option aims to circumvent any further recurrence of this financial malpractice to the detriment of hard-working farmers. For News Link on West Africa, the Macross Radio, I'm Saikuli Jenkin reporting from Banjul.
In the Sahel region, specifically in Mali, diplomatic tensions are escalating between Bamako and Algiers. This latest escalation follows comments by Algerian Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf, who stated that the ministry or the military options has failed in fighting against terrorism and that a political solution is needed. In a statement released last Wednesday, Malian authorities described these remarks as interference in their internal affairs. Algeria shares around 1,400 kilometers of borders with the southern neighbors. Mali, a poor landlocked country, is in the heart of the Sahel, was rocked by two military coups in August 2020 and May 2021. This political crisis goes hand in hand with serious security crisis that has been underway since 2012 and the outbreak of independence and jihadist insurgencies in the north.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Remember, we're live on Facebook, WADR English Service, as well as YouTube at WADR News. To other developments coming in from Côte d'Ivoire, there will be no reduction in fuel and gas prices. The government has indicated or decided to maintain the cost of these highly demanded products. In a statement, the Ministry of Mines and Petroleum indicated that fuel prices are set at 875 and 715 CFA francs per litre, and gas prices range from 2,000 CFA francs and 696,965 CFA francs. This announcement has not satisfied the General Union of Consumers of Côte d'Ivoire. More details by our correspondent in Abidjan, Abenade, and voiced by Abdullah Hassan.
According to a note from Mamadou Sangofoa Coulibaly, Minister of Mines, Petroleum and Energy, fuel and butane gas prices will remain unchanged until the end of the year. The prices for a litre of gasoline and diesel are maintained at 875 and 715 CFA francs per litre respectively as in the previous month. Regarding butane gas, the 6 kg bottle still costs 2,000 CFA francs, the 12.5 kg bottle is 5,200 CFA francs, and the 15 kg bottle is 6,965 CFA francs. This is bad news for the new year, according to Nguesson Kwaku, president of the General Union of Consumers of Côte d'Ivoire. These fuel and butane gas prices are valid throughout the national territory, according to the government, which specifies that they are set in accordance with international market trends.
And that was Abin Aden's report from Abidjan and voiced by Abdullah Hassan. Still in Côte d'Ivoire, over 2,000 prisoners in Côte d'Ivoire have gained pardon from the President Alassane Ouattara. This was announced in his end-of-year speech. According to reports, these individuals convicted of minor offenses will be able to reunite with their loved ones in the coming days. This decision is part of a desire to promote social reintegration and mark a new stage in the Ivorian prison policy. This presidential pardon specifically concerns people who have committed less serious offenses and whose convictions were handed down under penal code. The full list of the beneficiaries will be made public shortly. President Alassane Ouattara, however, clarified that this measure did not apply to ongoing cases such as those involving public figures facing serious accusations. Remember, you are still listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio. Here is a reminder of our top stories. Political groups divided in Guinea over extension of military transition period to 2025 despite a constitutional referendum in sight. And in Senegal, Bassirou Diomaye Faye's call to rationalize the existence of political parties sparked reaction from political and civil society actors ecosystem. And President Alassane Ouattara of Côte d'Ivoire pardons 2,000 prisoners as part of his New Year decisions. Still ahead in the news, Ghana's President-elect Mahama vows to address shortcomings of the current government, including corruption and more. We also have the press review, guest interview, and sports. Please stay tuned with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Now, in some New Year messages from the sub-region, Ghana's President-elect John Dramani Mahama has vowed to address the shortcomings of the outgoing Nana Akufo-Addo administration that led Ghana with transparency and fiscal discipline. In his 2025 New Year address, John Mahama emphasizes dedication to combating corruption, curbing excessive government spending, and restoring integrity and efficiency in governance. As Ghanaian anticipates his swearing in on January 7, his assurance has sparked optimism for meaningful reforms and solutions to the nation's challenges. President-elect also pledged to create a streamlined and effective government that prioritizes accountability and inclusivity. He reiterated his commitment to empowering businesses, assuring entrepreneurs of support through simplified processes, reduced barriers and access to resources to foster job creation and wealth generation. John Dramani Mahama.
My vision for our great nation includes a lean, efficient government responsive to your aspirations as a proud Ghanaian. We will work tirelessly to correct the outgoing administration's many wrongs, tackle corruption with dogged determination, and reduce excessive government expenditures. Each citizen's voice will be heard, and together we'll build a Ghana that reflects our collective hopes and dreams, the Ghana we all want and voted convincingly for. To the youth, you are our most valuable asset. Your energy, creativity, and passion are vital to our future success. I urge you to believe in yourselves and in the endless possibilities that lie ahead of you. Your participation will be crucial as we work together to cultivate a thriving economy and forge a brighter future for all. To business owners and entrepreneurs, I want you to know that my administration will support your efforts to create jobs and wealth. We're committed to removing barriers, simplifying processes, and providing the necessary resources to empower you to build and expand your businesses. Together, let us embrace positivity and hope. Let us stand united in the belief that we can reset our economy, restore dignity and integrity, and renew our collective commitment to building the Ghana we want, a Ghana of opportunities, equity, and shared success. As we celebrate this new year, let us commit to working together hand in hand to achieve our goals and our dreams. I am upbeat about fulfilling my campaign promises, knowing we can and will make a difference working together. And so here's to a transformative and prosperous 2025 for all of us.
Ghana's President-elect John Dramani Mahama. Let's cross over to Liberia because citizens who are currently traveling to the southeast of the country may have to look for alternative routes due to the collapse of the Kesto River 80 bridge. The collapse of the bridge, however, did not lead to any casualties. Grace Joshua and Monrovia completes the story.
The Kesto River Atia Bridge, which is considered a major route to the southeast, has collapsed, with no casualties reported from the scary scene. The collapse of the bridge came barely a month after it had undergone extensive repair by the Ministry of Public Works. A press release from the Ministry of Public Works referencing the unfortunate development that could have led to the loss of many lives noted that the ministry is deeply troubled by the unexpected accident due to the passage of a low bed carrying an excavator. Preliminary assessment shows that a low bed and excavator weighed more than 50 tons, a weight that is twice the 25 tons limit of the bridge. Meanwhile, citizens has expressed disappointment over the lack of infrastructure development as the primary reasons for the collapse of the Kesto River Bridge. They also lament about how the bridge is a major connection to other counties. The citizens has therefore called on the Ministry of Public Works to ensure the safety and durability of infrastructures.
Well, it's very much disheartening. This is a major road connecting or sign of. This is not the first sign of such. But what is very frustrating right now is the government announced that only 15 tons should pass on this bridge. They are engineers that build this place, and they know there are people who are knowledgeable to that discipline, and they came up with that advisor. Only 15 tons should pass here. So look at it, if more than 15 tons, you'll be discussing 50 to 60 tons.
Assistance. Further investigation are on the way to determine the circumstances surrounding this accident, with appropriate action to be taken to prevent a reoccurrence. For West Africa Democracy Radio, I'm Grace Joshua in Monrovia.
This is the newspaper review. Stay abreast and find out what the top stories are in your country.
This is the newspaper review.
The newspaper review.
Let's join Nade Detete in Accra for the newspaper review.
Greetings from Accra. The newspapers are still on holiday, so we will be reviewing some of the news portals. We'll start off with graphiconline.com. Colleges of Education teachers declare indefinite strike. Also here, death toll from cholera outbreak hits 37. And fire outbreak at Kantamanto Market in Accra, 13 fire tenders battling inferno. Also here, President-elect John Mahama pledges to address many wrongs of outgoing government in New Year message. Let's go to starfm.com.gh. Fire outbreak at Kantamanto Market. Also, CTAC declares indefinite strike over unmet demands, and 2024 polls, NPP defeat surprising, but President Akufo-Addo did very well. That's according to the former national chairman of the NPP, Freddie Blay. To a rather sad story, 9-year-old drowns in swimming pool in the eastern region, and track Ghana's foreign remittance to avoid begging for $3 billion. Banking consultant and financial analyst Dr. Richmond Etiahene to President-elect John Dramani Mahama. That'll be it for starfm.com.gh. Now let's go to myjournalline.com. Banner headline: Fire destroys Kantamanto Market and displaces hundreds of traders. Other stories here: CTAC declares indefinite strike over unresolved labor issues, and High Court concludes hearing on 4 disputed constituencies, sets judgment for January 4, and make appropriate orders to enable us complete the coalition. EC lawyers to the court. That'll be it for myjournalline.com. Let's go to City Newsroom. Banner headline: Traders count their losses after fire-ravaged Kantamanto Market. CTAC declares indefinite strike effective January 2. School feeding traders confirm payment of arrears, and Mandamus application: the people's will must stand. NDC's Ablikuma North parliamentary candidate. And will correct wrongs of Akufo-Addo government. President-elect John Mahama says, finally, NDC can't build the nation alone. That's according to President-elect John Mahama. That'll be it for the News Review segment. Is back to you.
That's Nade Ditete with the press review.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Our guest interview segment takes us to Guinea, where the transitional President General Mamadi Doumbouya has announced the extension of the transition period, which was supposed to end by December 31, 2024. The transition period, which will now continue until 2025, has shifted the electoral calendar and has divided the Guinean political class. While the opposition maintains its protest and declares it no longer recognizes the military in power, supporters of the junta welcome the extension of the transition. Our guest, Dr. Faya Milimono, the leader of the Liberal Bloc, speaking to WADR, reiterated the need for an effective dialogue to ensure smooth transition to civilian rule.
It is hard to believe in what the junta is saying now, because after listening to the president of the junta, the speech has reminded us the same thing that he has said in 2023. If you remember, in 2023, he was also in his speech the promise to make the referendum to adopt the new constitution. As we speak, we are still at the step of a first draft. It is not even the project yet of the new constitution. It's the first draft we are still debating on. So it is hard to believe in what has been said.
That means that you do not have confidence that even at the end of 2025 or even in the course of 2025, there could be a transition to civilian rule.
I don't believe in that. As I say, I am in Guinea, and my political party has made a proposal before the end of 2024, calling the junta, the government, and all political and civil society actors to have an inclusive dialogue to decide about the outcome, about the next step of what is going on in Guinea. For us, as long as that dialogue is not made, as long as the new government, the government of unity and mission is not put in place with an agenda, I won't believe that it is going to be the end at the end of 2025.
Since September 2021, the military junta took over. What is the socio-economic improvement in the life of an ordinary Guinean like at the moment?
There is no improvement. We are in crisis. The economic situation is very, very bad. You just need to come to Guinea and ask a question to Guineans living the day-to-day situation. You will hear from the majority of Guineans that they hardly can eat today.
We know January 6th, the opposition are bent on embarking on a demonstration. In as much as the transition team is saying that they would ensure a referendum to ensure constitutional rule and then civil rule, the opposition is still bent on embarking on a demonstration. Is that happening?
There are political actors calling their members for street demonstrations. As for my political party, we are still at the level of calling for a dialogue. We know when it is about demonstrations on the streets in our country, we know what we have gotten from it in the past. We have lost a lot of lives. That doesn't mean we are not going to exercise our rights to demonstrate on the street. But for now, we are given a chance to a dialogue to solve problems.
What do you expect to hear at the dialogue, and when soon do you expect this dialogue to really begin? As you said, it has not really commenced, though it was promised in previous years.
We should be in dialogue right now because the situation is critical enough for everybody to understand that if we are not around the table to solve, the situation can get worse. So now is time. And what I could say is, when we get together, no issue is going to be put aside. We're going to talk about everything. How long we're going to be in that transition. And for my political party, we need no more than 12 months to achieve. But the 12 months, we have subjected one of the Constitution, the 2010 Constitution, can be restored. And based on that, we can go to election and organize the local, the legislative, and the presidential election by December 2025.
That's Dr. Faya Melimono, who is the leader of the Liberal Bloc of Guinea. Let's join Sankuli Janko for details in the world of sports.
Hello out there, a warm welcome and thank you for joining us. Senegal are gearing themselves up for what could be a golden year in the history of Senegalese football. The reigning champions secured their place to this year's CAF Chan set to take place in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania with a resounding 3-0 second leg victory over Liberia in the qualifiers. A place in this year's final sees the West African Giants officially qualified for 5 major CAF competitions for 2025. They include the CAF Chan, the CAF Under-17, CAF Under-20, CAF WAFCON, as well as CAF Africa Cup of Nations 2025. Senegal have 3 titles to defend in 2025. First on the calendar will be their inaugural CAF Chan title, won in Algiers 3 years ago. The Under-17 side takes the final between 30 March and 19 April, where they will be looking to retaining their continental title. In Côte d'Ivoire, Senegal will be working towards defending their CAF Under-20 AFCON title when the tournament takes place between 26 April to 25 May this year. Meanwhile, for the national team, the Lionesses of Teranga, on the other hand, will be looking to emulate their male counterparts with their first ever continental title when they compete at the finals set to take place in Morocco between 5 to 26 July 2025. During the period 2022-2025, Senegal established a unique standard in Africa, winning 4 continental titles in 1 year. The Lions of Teranga won their first ever CAF AFCON title in Cameroon, which has been followed by the CAF Chan triumphs as well as lifting the Under-20 and the Under-17 continental titles. The West African Giants will be hoping to make history this year by securing all available titles in the 2025 calendar year. And that's it for sports. It's back to you.
And we have come to the end of this edition of Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Mustafa Sek and Maudu Diouf for the technical assistance. Do interact with us via our social media platform X, formerly Twitter, Instagram at WADR News, and on Facebook at WADR English Service. Coming up at the bottom of the hour is WADR's retro production on our environment program, Enviroscope. I am Christopher Ticho. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, Newmi FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in